Hi, welcome to Dinner for Two. I'm Chef Hummel, and today I'll be cooking for you Caribbean citrus fish tacos. Now, one thing that I absolutely love is adding fusion flavors, and here I've gone with the Caribbean. So we're gonna start off with making some cilantro rice as the bed for our tacos. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a bunch of cilantro, roll it up, and then chop it up nicely. Just make sure that you keep your fingers out of the way so we don't have any accidents. Move your fingers back as you chop it along. Just swipe it together. Keep on chopping. Make sure that you get those last little pieces. All right, and now that we've got our cilantro chopped, we can squeeze up some lime juice. I like to use my fingers as a bit of an extractor if I don't have a juice extractor myself. So I start by squeezing my lime juice into the cup, and then I'll just go right ahead and squeeze those last little bits of juice out. So I'm just gonna squeeze the second lime. And so I'm starting with 3/4 of a cup of dry rice, and you always wanna cook your rice 2 to 1 liquid to rice. So I see here that I've got half a cup of lime juice, so I'm going to be adding a cup of water. So 1.5 cups of liquid, 3/4 of a cup of rice, and I'm also going to be adding my cilantro to my pot. Covering it, I want my ready temp valve open, and I'm going to start on a medium-high heat. And once it starts whistling, then I know that I need to close the valve and let it cook. So now that I've cleaned all the cilantro off my board, I'm going to create the juice for our fish. So I'm gonna start. I already have the juice of 1 grapefruit, 2 limes, 2 lemons, all juiced out, and so I'm going to juice an orange. And I'm going to squeeze the juice into the strainer so that there won't be any pulp in the juice. Now that I've got my orange juice all squeezed out, I'm going to split it between my 2 juices. And since it's all going to get mixed together, it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect. So I'm going to add one of my juices to the bottom of my 8-inch skillet. And we are going to create the bed for our fish. So, like I said, I really like Caribbean flavors, and what I'm going to be making is a bit of a mock escovitch. Escovitch fish is a Jamaican dish where you take pickled onions, carrots, and habanero peppers. You cook your fish with it, and you cook it in paper, and or banana leaves, most traditionally. And you just serve it over rice and with some vegetables, and you end up with this really nice pickled, spicy fish dish. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give us a fresh version of that with our onions and our carrots. I'm not gonna do the habanero peppers so that it's mild for people who might not like too much spice, but it's going to be absolutely delicious and still very flavorful. So I'm going to take about half an onion and just create a nice bed for the fish to go on. Half a carrot, julienned it up nicely, which is one of the techniques that's used in the escovitch, creating a nice bed. And then I'm going to take about 1.5 pounds of tilapia, or you can use any other white flake fish that you like, but I really love tilapia, so I'm just going to use that. And it's very important that, if you're touching meat or fish or poultry or whatever, that you wash your hands. So I'm going to go do that, and I will be right back. All right, and so now that I've washed my hands, I am going to score my fish, which basically just means I'm going to cut some little slits into it so that all the flavors that I'm creating here will just, really impregnate into the fish. So I'm just going to take my knife, cut a few little slits into the fish. I don't want to go all the way through. I don't want to slice my fish. I just want to create some cuts in the surface of the skin. And then from there, I am going to take this rub that I have. We've already seen the citrus flavors that they like in a lot of Caribbean cooking, but you also get a lot of big, bold, earthy flavors. So right here I have a rub of salt, pepper, cinnamon, ground sage. It's got some allspice, some cloves, and a little bit of granulated garlic. So I'm just going to put that over the top of the fish. And I really want to make sure that I coat it nicely. I want to get it all through it because this is really going to season your dish and give it these nice earthy flavors, which is going to counteract the bright citrus flavors really, really nicely. And from there, I'm going to take some fresh oregano and I'm just going to bruise it. Really, you just, take it in your hands, you grind it all up, And then what this does is it, breaks up the leaf a little bit. It really starts to bring out all those oils that you get in the oregano. So you spread your bruised oregano out over the fish. And then from there, you take some butter, salted or unsalted, it doesn't really matter. If you use salted butter, you don't need quite as much salt in your rub, but it really just, matters kind of what you have on hand. Make this easy for yourself. And then give yourself some nice thin slices of the butter. Even if it's a little mushy, just kind of make sure that you spread it throughout the fish so it covers the entire surface of the fish. In this case, our butter was a little warmer than I would have gone with, but if you make sure that you've got nice chilled butter, you've got nice thin slices, you can distribute it all over your fish nicely. Just going to cover and then put it on a medium-high heat. So I hear the ready temp valve on the rice going, and so we're just going to close it, turn our rice to low, and then just forget about it for a couple minutes. We're going to let it cook for about 3 minutes and then turn it off, and it's going to continue to cook while the burner is off, and then in 15 minutes or so we're going to have perfect rice to go with our tacos. And so the next step is we're going to be setting up our vegetables for the fish tacos. So I'm going to start by julienning some peppers. Got one orange one, a red one, and a yellow one. And so now that we've got our peppers ready, it sounds to me like our fish is starting to whistle. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to close the ready temp valve. I'm going to put it on low and I'm going to let it cook for a couple minutes. So I'm going to take our 10.5-inch skillet and I'm going to let it preheat a bit. Then from there, we're going to cook off our bok choy and our peppers. We're going to let those cook down for a little bit. And then once those get steaming and our fish gets finished, we're going to combine everything together and it's going to be absolutely great. So now that our 10.5-inch skillet is preheated, you can tell because the water is beating nicely. We're going to add our bok choy. Just, you want to put enough of a slice on it so that you have some body even after it's cooked down. So we're just going to take a spoon and mix around our bok choy. Let it start cooking a little bit. Then we're going to add our peppers. Mix it up a little bit. And then we're just going to cover it, wait for the ready temp valve to whistle. And then once those are softened and our fish is cooked, we're going to be able to put everything together. All right, so now that our fish has been cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes on low, I'm just going to turn it off so that it'll continue to start cooking a little bit, but it won't turn to mush as we're waiting for our vegetables to finish. All right, and then I add my ginger, and I add some nice fresh garlic. Give it a little stir. And then we add our peppers and give it a quick stir. And then we would add our cover. And when the ready temp valve goes off, we're ready to let it cook on low. And now that our ready temp valve is going off, we're just going to close it. We're going to turn the heat to low, and then we're going to let it cook for about 3 minutes. Now that our vegetables are ready and our fish is ready, it's time to put everything together and then eat. So we're going to take the lid off of our 10-inch. We're going to take the lid off of our 8-inch and see how beautifully our fish is steamed. We're just going to add that to our vegetables. And then we're going to add the other half of the citrus juice. And now what this is going to do is it's going to deglaze the pan as I raise the heat. And all of this caramelized flavor that's on the bottom is just going to come off and it's going to come into the vegetables and come into the fish. And it's going to bring everything together. And then as I'm also increasing the temperature, it's going to end up reducing the liquid, which is going to minimize the level of liquid in the pan, but maximize the flavor. And that's going to be absolutely delicious once everything comes together and gets a chance to really cook down and really reduce down. Okay, so now that your fish is about, just about ready, it's been reducing for probably about 5 to 6 minutes at this point. What you're actually going to do is you're going to take the remaining liquid from steaming your fish and then add it to your taco mix. And what it's going to do is the milk fat in the butter is actually going to thicken the sauce and the mess on the stove a little bit more than it already has. And then we're just going to let this reduce down for probably another 5 minutes and then we are good to eat. And so now that you've let your taco filling reduce down for about 5 or 6 minutes is okay if there's still a little bit of liquid at the bottom. You can just make sure that you have a slotted spoon to serve it with. And I'm ready to go. I've got our flour tortillas warming on our round griddle. I'm just gonna grab one off, put it on the plate, take my rice. Our cookware has the ability to make the most perfect and fluffy rice. So I'm just gonna give it a little stir. Put a small scoop of rice on the tortilla. And then just put a small scoop of the taco filling in my tortilla. And then I am going to close it up with a toothpick. And we're gonna do that a couple more times. And here we have Caribbean fish tacos, a meal that any family would love, featuring the colors and the flavors of the Caribbean, one of my favorite styles of cooking. Thank you for sharing your kitchen with me, and remember, at Dinner for Two, life is delicious. Chef Hummel signing out.